Greetings, everybody. This is Serpentine451, and welcome back to another episode of Weeb Warriors. Oh, and joining me as always is my good friend Jordan. How you doing tonight, Jordan?
I'm doing alright, Tony. Doing alright.
Lord baby Jesus. Lord baby Jesus. People are fucking stupid. But,
Okay, Tony.
anyhow, let's actually get to our shows for this week here, starting with The God of High School, Episode 5, Ronde Hound.
Alright, so if you're like me and you didn't watch the last 2 to 3 minutes of the previous episode, you did not see our boy Han Dai-Wei go up against Yumira in a pretty short fight where he abuses he abuses the known fact of her weakness to essentially disable her pretty quick into the battle. And as you might imagine, our boy Jin doesn't take that very well. So this whole episode is just Jin and Han beating the ever-loving shit out of each other with everything they fucking get. While in the background, we explore sort of Han's motivations for joining the tournament.
About his, a friend that he made that's dying of a terminal illness. Well, he ultimately dies in this episode.
Yes, which is quite unfortunate.
And
But
is it just me, or is, Park Moojin a very interesting character, trying to, push Han and Jin to their absolute limits in this fight?
well, it seems that Park really wants to see the birth of true warriors, which actually, so I haven't gotten around to reading the source material like I intended, but I'm wondering how this is all going to play out, since it appears to me that they're trying to do a sort of, I'm hesitant to say this because I don't want it to be mirror that, but like a Team 7 Naruto sort of setup where there's going to be a triumvirate of main characters, and hopefully, God, please, Jesus, help us. You, Mira, will stay relevant and epic throughout the entire thing.
I mean, the episode dedicated to her just shows us how badass she can be.
Right. I guess I'm just concerned that since this last episode was, Jin and Han really mixing it up, that it doesn't leave a whole lot of room for you. But we will see.
Yeah. Plus, I gotta commend the animation team behind the fight scenes in this episode. Like, when Han and Jin got serious. Just the animation in this fight was fucking gorgeous.
Oh yeah, I definitely thought that they took some very creative risks that paid off well.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, I would love to see more of this studio.
And the music behind this episode really complemented the fight scenes, actually, in my honest opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But
agree with you. I agree with you.
More to
Actually, I'm looking into the studio and some of the things that they did, and I can see they have a good track record, I feel.
right, and more onto the episode itself. Like, we got to explore Han's backstory with his friend with the illness, and the whole motivation how Park told him, like, hey, I'll make you a deal. Since you entered the tournament for his sake, we could put him on nanomachine life support, essentially, when you actually have an overwhelming victory in the semifinals and the final rounds of this particular tournament. And juxtaposed to that, we have Jin going through his, well, not necessarily an inner conflict, but he's upset at the fact that Han, whom he saw as a friend, it really beat the shit out of one of their other friends.
Savaged her ass.
Mm-hmm. And, it wasn't, in his mind, it wasn't the right thing to do. But the fight scene with Jin and the Brazilian ninjutsu dude, it ended just about as quick as I wanted it to be, to focus on the conflict between Han and Jin.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Jin didn't want to fuck with this dude, thinking he was hot shit. And we got to see, correct me if I'm wrong, Jordan, did we see all 4 stances of Han's technique in previous episodes, or did we just see up to 3?
No, we saw all of them. He busted out the Azure Dragon at the end.
Yeah, I know, but I know we saw all 4 this episode. What I'm saying is, did we see all 4 previous episodes?
Not last time.
Right.
Homeboy got pieced up by the, as I like to call it, the endless ass whooping Byakko combo. It was quite unfortunate.
Yeah, Last Stance, Siryu, that was fucking wild. And just to have Jin just use that and turn it into a kick, fucking crazy.
It was quite abusive. His renewal Taekwondo style is just fucking ungodly.
Yeah, and the best part about this episode 2 is Mira really just pushing, like, hey, I was discharged from, we're still friends, I'm gonna motivate you guys to actually fight each other like true warriors, and not hold back and be dicks. Because she ends up finding out that Han's friend died. And she gave Han a message from his friend, that pretty much says, live life, goddammit. I think that's all I have to really say about this episode. Anything more to add, Jordan?
No, I mean, that's about it. I think that the episode was nice. There was a lot of good stylistic choices as far as animation quality is concerned. Matt, why are you nodding? My roommate just walked into the room and he's just nodding along. Like, he really knows what the hell I'm talking about. Either way, but and the fight scene was good. I'm really looking forward to the continuation of the series. Yeah, I mean, that's really all I have to say on that.
Oh, I'm definitely ready for, like, the national tournament for the most part. I am hyped for that shit.
Yep.
So,
all right.
Now let's go. The Misfit of Demon King Academy, episode 5. Good Lord, baby Jesus.
The transfer student.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, this episode begins with a flashback sequence. Well, not technically. It actually begins with their homeroom teacher being a ho and claiming that the staff that they recovered from the previous incident had been stolen.
But Anos is like, fuck that noise.
I mean, Anos was very much prepared to let it go until it upset his teammates. Then he had to go over there and snatch it out of this dude's soul. I thought that was a lot. I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah, and he's like, if you're gonna try to pilfer this and lower my point count, you gotta do better than that. Pretty much saying, if you're gonna be a hoe, go all out. Don't wuss out when you're ahead. Oh my god. And then we have the flashback with Shin and Anos in the past, where Shin was a loyal servant to Anos when he was the Demon King.
Yep.
2,000 years ago. And they fought a water spirit, which Shin absolutely destroyed before the hero showed up. And Shin pretty much asked him, my master, is there anything else you want me to... if there's anything that I want to do is to basically serve you for eternity, even if I have to reincarnate myself. And Anos is like, yeah, do whatever the hell you want, man.
He was a little more formal than that, but that's essentially the translation. It's just like, all right, bet, I'll allow it.
Yeah, Anos may be a bit more regal than us schmucks, but that's essentially what he said. I'm not wrong.
No, you're not wrong. You're not wrong on that.
Well, anywho, we also got the introduction.
We also found.
Oh, go ahead, Jordan.
I was going to say that we also got introduced to Anos' fan club.
Oh, yeah.
The Unitarians, who represent the various hybrid, mixed blood individuals who are sort of discriminated against in the Demon King Academy, who have unified around a central ideal that Anos is the Demon King. So they chose right. They were smart.
Yeah, they were smart. And
but oh my god, when he walked in the room and they were like, "Oh god, I'm breathing the same air as him. Is this an indirect kiss?" I'm like, "What?"
Yeah, when I looked at that scene just out of context before I actually watched the episode, because I saw it in a clip and I'm like, "The fuck are these bitches on?" I mean, they're not wrong being on like some fuck shit with Anos, because he's Flexmodius.
Oh my god.
I mean, just getting wet from seeing this man for these bitches was enough for them. I mean,
I was about to say that's a lot.
I mean, one girl twirled like a fucking top when she saw this man. And we're also...
I was just sitting there like, okay.
Yeah.
So we on our way to a harem anime. I see it now. It's obvious now.
It's been obvious from the jump, Jordan. But we're also introduced to the character of Ray, who is a powerful royalty demon in his own right. But he's like, I don't want to be a leader. I just want to be under somebody's thumb. Hey, Anos, can I join your team? No, I refuse. Hey, if you want to join my team, you have to beat me. And Ray's like, yeah, bet, let's do it. And Anos enlists the help of the Unitarians to basically help Ray in the little match that they're having. And the fight between Ray and the Unitarians versus Anos and the twins was okay. It was serviceable, for the most part. Those Unitarian girls stood no chance against Misha and Sasha, though.
I mean, in their defense, they put up a very good fight, but
They did.
you can't defeat the Necron family special technique of fusion magic. I hadn't known how badass fusion magic was going to be till they showed it. Because honestly, I was sitting there like, isn't that kind of underwhelming for a whole family secret technique? And I was like, okay, I take it back.
Like, I had a little bit of my doubts, but then when I saw it, like, in practice, I'm like, okay. It completely wiped the floor with these poor girls. Alright, you guys win. Okay.
So it is done. Also, Misha needs to stop flexing with her creation magic. It's like she learned that she could do one thing with magic when she was a kid, and it's just like, this is the thing. This is what I'm going to hone till the end of my days.
Yeah, this girl's pretty
You know
powerful.
how fucking game breaking her magic powers are? Fuck everybody else's. This woman can literally make a fully decked out fortress instantly anywhere in the world.
Mm-hmm. This girl made a complete, beautiful-looking ice fortress. And she's like, oh, it's mostly the power of the ring, I guess, amplifying my strength. And I was like, nah, a good portion of that's your power too, Misha. Oh, and you gotta love when Sasha, before the fight happened, when the trio was at the Unitarians' tower, and she was reading one of the Unitarians' tomes about Anos, and how she pretty much lost her shit. I want to mention that scene because that was funny to me.
It was quite funny.
But the good portion, like the ending portion of this episode for the most part, was the fight between Rey and Anos. Where Anos decided to sword fight him with a tree branch up against the dull sword of Rey. Because Rey gave his sword to Mia, I believe is her name.
I do not remember, but
I know
don't think it
she's
was so
half
much
demon,
dull,
half fairy.
It was not a magic blade,
Yeah.
right? Because his whole specialty is using magic swords.
Mm-hmm. Well, she's half...
He didn't have to disrespect him with a stick, though. That was embarrassing.
Oh, yeah. He completely disrespected this man. But I think at the end of the fight, they ended up just being friends regardless. Because it's just me thinking out loud. But Rey might be the reincarnation of Shin.
I mean, he's either going to be that or the reincarnation of the hero, because they keep showing them. Because they keep showing that the hero and him are supposed to be reunited in some fashion. Mm-hmm. So I'm just like, okay, interesting. But he doesn't have 7 sources, and he's a demon, so there's that.
Yes. But...
So I'm almost 100% sure that it's the swordsman. 100%.
Yeah.
The next episode's actually the Magic Sword Tournament, which is probably why this particular situation hasn't resolved itself. It seems that it's going to be the next major arc of the series. So I imagine that we'll get some sort of resolution, either this next episode or the episode subsequent to it, and then we'll probably go into the last arc of this season.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope it gets a second season. I really do.
Definitely.
I mean, I might have to go read source material either way we slice it, but I would love to see this animated. Simply because it is a straight up power fantasy that doesn't use any weird tricks or anything, and I feel like it's well executed.
Definitely, I agree with you 100%.
Or maybe I'm just so burnt out on isekais with overpowered protagonists who treat everything as if it's
a fucking joke.
Like it's a joke. Like at least with Flex Modius, we know that he is as powerful as he is because he is a demon lord and he behaves as a demon lord. He wields his power to that end versus something like Smartphone, who just undoes cataclysmic levels of fuckery with sort of contemptuous ease. And for no apparent reason beyond that he could.
Yeah, he took out a bunch of fucking zombies with a light spell that he recently learned.
You know, I actually stopped. I dropped the anime after that scene. In fact, I went back and finished it later, but I dropped the anime initially after that scene.
Oh my god, how fucking absurd.
Because I thought that this was a perfect opportunity to let his female companions really shine and get some, and show off their skills. Why the hell do we even have them here if they're not going to do anything? And it was all over.
Yeah, apparently they're just there for the sadder weebs to fawn over.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I get it, but I don't get it. For me personally, I enjoyed it for what it was worth, which was pretty much nothing, and I kept it moving. I just kept it moving because if I wanted to watch a anime about collecting decently attractive females, I feel like I would just watch an anime about collecting decently attractive females. What do you mean? I'm trying to remember the name of it. They had numbers and superpowers, and they had like male-female partnerships, and the main character ends up getting like 4 or 5 of them. A fighter, a water, a girl.
Sekirei!
Yeah, there we go. If I wanted to do that, I would have watched Sekirei.
I mean, Sekirei is good, regardless of how questionable it may be at times.
Oh, it's extremely questionable.
But its story is actually pretty damn good, other than, like, the oblivious fan service.
I mean, how would I put it? I think Sekirei takes itself seriously, even though the material within it is not.
Yeah, definitely. But
it's kind of like Kaijo in that sense.
Oh my god.
The sport in Kaijo is... So, Kaijo is my guilty pleasure. I really love that. It is surprisingly good.
It's basically... For those of you who don't know, it's an anime about a water sport where you have girls using their asses and boobs to basically knock each other off of platforms.
Exclusively asses and boobs. But
God.
It takes itself very seriously. Like, the sport is not a game. It is a game, but it's like an Olympic level sport. And they have fucking full ass power attacks, fucking Cerberus. Oh my god. And the hypno boobs.
Yes, and then the what the fuck was it? Basically, an allusion, like an homage to the Gates of Babylon. I think it's the Gates of Boobilon or the Gates of Bootylong. Something
like that.
Something to that effect. I remember that well.
Oh god, I'm gonna have to rewatch. I'm gonna have to watch it again. I'm gonna have to watch it again.
Me too. I do. But anyway, back to Misfit here. We would like to see it like renewed for another season. I hope to God it does. But let's go on to another show here. In our order, we had God of High School, Misfit. Didn't we want to talk about Rent-A-Girlfriend after those two?
Monster Doctor.
Monster Doctor, there we go.
Yeah, so we're on episode 4, the Lamia with an incurable disease. The episode opens, so last episode at the end, we see Safe with, who has apparently become pregnant. And we're sort of left on this cliffhanger. Mm-hmm. And the next episode begins, and the doctor is like, but you can't be pregnant, you lay eggs. Right. And she reveals that she actually is covering up a basket, which does contain an egg, but it's a harpy's egg.
Yep.
And then the clinic is subsequently attacked by mysterious men. Safe bitch slaps one of them into a wall using her tail, which we learn in that moment is way more powerful than it appears. And they escape. Mm-hmm. They run into the girl. They run into, I can't think of her name.
Kunai.
The flesh golem. Kunai, the flesh golem, while, fleeing. And she informs them that they were the slavers. They had heard about Glenn's involvement, I suppose. Was that the reason? Or was it that...
Essentially, they saw Glenn walking about uh, with Kunai's limbs and followed him to the clinic just to kidnap him to use as leverage.
I see.
So Kunai takes both of them to Lady Scotty and Luna to rescue the captured harpies. And Glenn was at first opposed to Luna essentially helping out.
Yo, Glenn got angry.
Mm-hmm.
He was ready. He wanted all the smoke from Scotty.
Yeah, but Scotty, well, through Kunai's voice, explained that since Luna's her whole goal was to perform in front of people, she would be the perfect candidate to basically scout out and see where the slavers would be heading. And she would relay that information to Scotty, who in return would allow her to sing more and compensate her for these missions. And Luna herself made the choice and made it abundantly clear to Glenn that she chose this. She's thankful that he's worried about her, but she made the choice. She's going to stick with it. Which I have mad respect for.
Yeah, I feel you.
And then, of course, we have Scotty, Kunai, Glenn, and Safi going to rescue the harpies, where the head of the slaver group faces off against Kunai, whereas Glenn and the others try to find the harpies, which they ultimately do. The harpies are relieved to see Glenn, Lady Scotty, and Safi, but they're ambushed by other slavers. And Scotty and Safi decided to give Glenn time because one of the harpies is having trouble laying her egg because it's stuck in her oviduct. And she's having a difficult time laying this egg.
Yep. I mean, it was interesting to see because egg binding is something that happens with chickens, but obviously chickens have cloaca, which makes things very different than what you would assume, what you would see with a human-like being, because obviously they have separate holes for those things.
Yes.
But egg binding is something that is potentially dangerous for chickens. So I guess all birds, at least chickens, because that's the one we really concern ourselves with, because they produce eggs at some regular interval.
Yes, that's correct. But then Safi goes into the fact that, she has an uncurable disease, and her family was a league of assassins that she was sent to the Lindbelts as a way to kind of eliminate them. But then she fell for Glenn, and it became a thing, and she's like, I can't tell him because it'll ruin our relationship. And after she got poisoned by Mandragora poison from one of the slaver's blades, she got knocked out. And then as soon as she wakes up, Glenn explains, like, hey, you were so badass. I knew you were trained as an assassin, and the uncurable disease, I knew about that too. It's all okay. And he also tells her, like, hey, the harpies are fine. The one harpy that I was trying to save, trying to help out, delivered her egg just fine. It's all good. You don't have to worry. And that's all that I can recall. Anything else you want to add, Jordan?
No, I think that just about sums it up.
Yeah, because
It was
essentially.
a good episode
Mm-hmm.
overall, and I'm looking forward to continuing the series. I'm glad that they gave Safe some more depth,
Yeah.
but I need them to go ahead and stop playing with my emotions and give me more of my Spider Girl.
Yeah, we definitely want to see more of the Spider Girl, but more than likely, we might be introduced to the Harpy proper. The Harpy that delivered the egg.
I mean, maybe. I feel like, given how many parallels there are to this in Monster Musume, I don't think we'll get away without there being some sort of main Harpy girl that makes some recurrent appearance. So there's that.
We forgot to. Well, we forgot to mention that when they were attacking the slavers or getting to the main slavers to the slavers' base. The Centaur girl from episode 1, Trishelia, I think is her name.
Ooh, don't have me lying to you.
Trish. I'll just call her Trish. And her right-hand girls basically took on some other slavers that were kind of blocking the path to the base. And she wasn't here for the bullshit either. She knocked out one individual with a, for all intents and purposes, a blunted lance. Like, she knocked his ass out. When he was saying, like, oh, monsters and humans can't get along. They'll just fight and kill each other until the end of time. And Trish retorts, like, no, I don't believe you, because we have humans and monsters just living together in harmony just here in Lindworm. You're on some fuck shit if you believe that to be true. Yeah, but the next episode will focus on one of Trish's retainers, though. I do know that for sure. But anyway.
Interesting.
Yeah, because apparently one of the retainers sprained her ankle.
Okay, sweet.
Alright, well. But anyway.
Up next is Rent a Girlfriend.
Episode 4.
Yep, Friends and Girlfriend. How do I put it? I am torn on this episode. Episodes 1 through 3, I have finished with a universal hatred for Kazuya because he's a little bitch boy. And he disgusts me and I'm tired of him. In this one, I'm kind of sort of tired of him, but not so much. I do think that Kibe emerged as best friend of the year, though.
Definitely. I agree with you there. Because, coincidentally, because let me give you some interesting backstory. Trying to find...
Okay.
As I was trying to look for various different manga, I actually ran into this series, but I didn't choose to read it. I just favorited it and just didn't bother actually reading it. And then until the anime adaptation, I think this was like a year or so back when I initially became familiar with the series. But anyway, I decided to read on further because I wanted to see where things went. And I got to this part in the manga, and I'm like, oh, okay. Kaibe just really wants to show the good points in his best friend. Okay, I respect that. There you are, fam. I see you. And to see that whole scene animated was actually very amazing to me. And I only read that particular part about maybe a week or two ago.
A week ago?
I would say a week or two. Because I don't recall exactly. It could have been even a month ago. At any point. Watching Kazuya and Kibe just beat the shit out of each other. But even before that, let's just mention, like, if I like, bitch of the year, mommy.
Right. Really quick, Tony, if my audio quality has changed, it's because my computer just crashed, so I had to quickly switch to Discord on my phone.
Oh,
I gotta love mobile apps, y'all. But, yeah, Mommy is still bitch of the year. I really don't like Mommy's character. I don't think that at this point I'm ever going to like her, regardless of what justification they pull out.
yeah, and her,
I just don't care.
yeah, with this girl, she likes the fact that she has people fawning over her, and when Kazuya actually, in well, on the outside, Kazuya actually having a really cute girlfriend, cuter than her, she's like, oh, why can't I win this dude over and make him fawn over me like he used to? It's like, this fucking bitch, I'm gonna end it.
Her rationale is a little deeper or more nuanced than that.
Yeah,
it may very well end up being so, which will just be as it is.
yeah,
I
but
don't know. I just don't really find a whole lot of redeemable qualities about Mommy outside of this, so it's very hard to be like, oh, you know, whatever, right? At least Kazuya has some manner of testicles with this last scene, so at least maybe there's some hope for him.
mm-hmm.
And
So-
he does decide to act like an adult human being every now and again.
Yeah, because he and Mommy shared this kiss when he was helping her in the previous, like, at the end of the previous episode, finding her bracelet. And how it was all a play on her end to basically convince him to break up with Mizuhara. Or should I just refer to her as Chizuru? But so he ends up mentioning, like, hey, Chizuru and I are gonna be breaking up here. That's why we're not, like, gonna bring anything else up here. Which, that was Chizuru and his end goal from the start. And then Kibe, that's when he had the smoke. It's like,
Yo, eBay wanted all pieces of it. He wanted everything. I've never seen someone have a sort of. I've never seen anyone in a slice of life anime have a beat down, drag out fight like that before.
I've seen it in a few shows, but with this here, he's like really pointing out to Kazuya that he's a fucking moron for just ending things with a girl that might actually care about him. And
That is mighty stupid.
but he ends up talking to Kibe ends up talking to Chizuru about a time when they were younger that Kazuya and the group were trying to grow morning glories. And now he knocked over Kazuya's flower pot, but Kazuya was able to try to raise the flower himself. When it started to bloom pretty fast, and the teacher was like, no, that's probably just a weed. And Kazuya's like, no, it's not a weed. I'm going to show you that I can do this. And he just attended to this plan, and Kibe just looked at him like, oh, you do actually have good points. I'm sorry I picked on you.
Nah, Kibe was right to question him because it's just like, come on now, fam. It can't be a morning glory. There's no way in Fresh Hell that it's a morning glory, and he was right. I mean, it wasn't.
It wasn't a morning glory, but it wasn't a weed either.
No.
But he still got like Kazuya did get a good score on actually raising the damn thing.
Honestly, I feel like of all the positive traits that people have said about someone, I really feel like that's an assful. Because it's just like, so Kazuya's good trait is that he's too stupid to realize when things should be given up, and sometimes, very rarely, he pulls out okay.
Yes. Apparently according to Kibe, if I can infer from this, is that his good trait is he doesn't give up on things so easily. even when it looks like it's pretty much pointless.
I guess.
And so his whole point of telling that story was to explain to Chizuru, like, hey, don't break up with this guy. You may have you stood up for him when no one else did, when Mommy was giving him all that smoke. So you can see the good in him, just don't end it so prematurely. Which Kazuya ends up listening into all of that. And so as reconciliation, Kibe gave Kazuya and Chizuru tickets to a ferry. Which, even before that, before the blow up and fight, Chizuru and Kazuya had this conversation about, hey, you actually did a good job. You actually do have a pair of testicles when you actually want to say shit. But we gotta give it to Homegirl, though. Even though when she wasn't feeling all that well, she tried to do her... Well, I really shouldn't say this. When they were on the ferry, and when he's like, yeah, I'm worried about you here. Are you feeling okay? She's like, no, I'll be fine. I'll just lay down here. And Mommy, being the complete bitch that she is, trying to get Kazuya to actually go to the hotel pool.
Yeah, she don't take a break, I swear.
Mm-mm. And then our girl Chizuru just falls off as she was walking in a sick daze, off the side of the ferry. And our boy Kazuya, to basically clip end this episode with him jumping in to rescue her. I mean, even though they pretty much wanted to end things with their false relationship, he did the right thing in saving her. Wouldn't you agree, Jordan?
Well, we'll see if he saves her or not. I think him trying is worthy of praise, to at least an attempt.
Mm-hmm.
Unless, of course, he makes the situation worse, in which case he was better off not.
But actually reading at this point, I'm not going to spoil anything, but it actually turned out okay. But anyway, let's actually head to the shows that you have the most disdain for this season.
Okay, so up next we have Peter Grill and the Philosopher's Time. So the whole basic premise of Peter Grill's series is that he is going to be forced into various sexual positions with different fantasy creatures because he's now become the strongest man, because of him being the strongest man on Earth.
Mm-hmm.
And this is all going to be juxtaposed to his ongoing internal conflict of him being in love with the beautiful but sexually naive Luvelia.
Mm-hmm. With an overprotective father and the head of Peter's guild.
Yes, and let's actually up that from overprotective to full-out murderous.
Fuck yes.
Point being, Peter doesn't want, air quotes, does not want to be having sex with these women, but he also cannot escape them for various reasons, nor can he stop having sex with them because if they tell Luvelia, then their engagement will be broken up and he'll be killed.
Mm-hmm.
All of this has not come to a head, but I just wanted to preface all of this before we get too much into it, because this episode introduces a character who, in my rightful opinion, should have just been executed and be done with it. But we'll talk about that. So this episode introduces, or maybe, well, I guess that doesn't necessarily introduces, but brings Vegan's story to its climax. No pun intended.
Yes.
where it opens up with Peter saving Luvelia from the worm goblin giant.
Yep.
And preventing her from being tentacle raped. Which there's like a 1 minute tentacle scene, and I'm just like, why is this? Why are we doing this?
Because apparently this monster likes to violate women and kill men.
I mean, I guess, but either way. So we do that, and then Peter realizes for hours after the battle he has a pretty persistent erection that won't go away. He goes into the hot springs, and it's still going strong, and Vegan appears to him and announces that she placed a curse on his manhood, that he would not be able to get rid of his erection unless he had sex with her. And if he allowed his erection to continue, it would inevitably destroy his penile tissues, and he would lose the ability to become erect forever. So, while this is also happening, Luvelia invites him to come over to her side of the shower, of the, hot spring or whatever, so that they can bathe together and pray to the goddess to bring them their future child via stork.
Yeah.
I mean, so there's that. He rejects, and after begging, Vegan has sex with her. End of episode. Mm-hmm. Now, the reason that I say that Vegan should be dead is because, if I remember correctly from the source material, there's only 2 conditions in which this curse can be lifted. Either satisfy the condition, which is to have sex with Vegan, or kill the caster. I would have just straight up executed Vegan and been done with it.
I mean,
he already has enough problems with the orc sisters, but at least they're not trying to blackmail the fucking curse badger.
Mm-hmm.
They use good old fashioned female seduction. That's Peter's own fault.
Yeah, they use the typical technique of hose Wyland.
Hose Wyland and Peter has the willpower of
moldy cheese.
Honestly, I can't even think of a descriptor for this.
Oh, I gave a perfect descriptor. He has the willpower of moldy cheese.
I'm not sure moldy cheese has willpower. And why moldy cheese? Does non-moldy cheese... we're not going to dwell on it.
Oh, and it only gets worse with the next episode when we introduce Piglet. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Is it the next episode?
Yes.
Piglet?
Yes, it is.
I see. You can tell. Honestly, I think that I may have either not been able to find the other chapters or have just abandoned it, because I most certainly did not read past the Piglet section.
Yeah, because well, we'll talk about this, off show here. But it's some stupid shit. It's always stupid shit, but it's the epitome of stupid. Good Lord, baby Jesus. But anywho, on to this last show. Super H Heroes. Oh my god.
You got this one. You got this one. I hated it. I hated it so much.
So
I hated. For one, I'm not liking this series all too much, and I really hated this episode. Oh my god, on everything, I hated it.
So, I actually got caught up with this show, and it's so damn stupid. It might be a guilty pleasure of mine if I just let my brain just shut off for a few hours. But I'll give my quick thoughts on the previous 4 episodes before I get into episode 5 here. Episode 1, decent. could stand to see, like, less naked people. Episode 2, okay, same thing, could stand to see less naked people. Well, let me preface this. Less naked teenagers, I should say. Episode 3, same thing as episodes 1 and 2, and episode 4, same thing as 1 through 3. Now, episode 5, Heroes Rising. Oh, Lord, baby Jesus. So, our crew of Eros' red, blue, pink, and white go to save Kirara from the clutches of the sex bugs. Well, the Puritan bugs, I should say. They, since she was kidnapped by one of their monsters that has the power to mimic human form and just travel in human society. And just be right dicks about that. And as a way of showing resourcefulness, Kirara clobbers one monster in the head with a rock, saying that my H power is getting tied up and being bound, and that's my kink. Like, why would you tie me up like that? And we're introduced to the one character in Jordan's worldview that is a sin against man. Cha-Cha.
Don't say her name.
And she who must not be named...
I really hate her.
And she who must not be named is an anomaly within the Puritan bugs. She is the firstborn to the queen, and she doesn't look like any of her compatriots because she looks more mammalian than insect. And she has the ability to enhance erotic energy. And as they're trying to find the base to rescue Kirara, because I have to mention this, the three other girls, they're straight hoeing too. Like, these bitches thought in a way to get their powers charged up is to essentially just give Reto their panties so they could just go commando and just be exposed to the elements. Oh, Lord, baby Jesus. But continuing on, Reto finds Kirara, rescues her, but in the midst of flashbacks, because this show loves these fucking things, Kirara realizes, like, I shouldn't be so much of a prude. I want to do normal things, but ever since that day, I've been scared to actually show my true feelings to the guy I like. These bugs will pay, and I will destroy them with every fiber of my being, which she ultimately does, destroying the base that the monsters had initially, but telling Rintaro before she's knocked out, like, hey, can you save my new friend, Cha-Cha? Or
Don't say her name.
She who must not be named. Which he ultimately does, and as...
She then assumes Homegirl's form.
Mm-hmm. Because she has come across a human male for the first time. And starts riding the poor boy like he's a goddamn buck. Well, a goddamn stallion. While assuming, like Jordan said, Kirara's form. And that's how the episode ends. Good Good God, or as you would put it, Jordan, good googly moogly. Jesus Christ. And why did you tell me to watch this show again?
I didn't tell you to watch this show.
Well, you were the one that brought it up last week.
Did I?
Yes, you did.
Oh man, I must just really hate it all of a sudden. I thought it's definitely the type of smut that I feel like you would enjoy, and I think that I'm going to finish it out just so I can see if I hate it all the way through. I don't know. It felt like it was more promising in the beginning, but as we get further into it, I'm just like, okay, we gonna bust out the same old tired shit again and again. Interesting. And I know it's based on Sentai, which is notorious for doing that, but goddamn, we're almost halfway through. You can at least pretend like you're gonna change with the formula.
Yeah, and I've seen a show that did this premise a bit better. Gonna Be the Twin Tail actually did this whole Sentai powered by fetishes shtick better.
I mean, there honestly could be a whole subgenre of
and there is
anime, manga, manhwa, what have you, that is main character or characters are powered by erotic energies.
Yeah, but Gonna Be the Twin Tail actually did this with less fan servicey moments.
Yeah, true.
And I respect that. It's actually one of my favorite shows, if I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. I mean, this is a guilty pleasure of mine now, but would I ever watch it again? If I want to feel dirty and smutty, yeah, occasionally.
But it's definitely not on. It's definitely not going to be on the rewatch list.
Definitely not. I mean, Kinjo, that's a different story. That's a guilty pleasure that you can enjoy anytime. But with this show, I mean, it's not egregiously bad, but there are a few things that make it seem egregiously bad.
I'll say it's pretty damn bad, but I hate.
I'm saying it's not that great either. What I am saying is that is it a fun ride? In a smutty sense, yes. But is it like top quality? Oh, hell no. Definitely not. I mean, it's animated well. But
it's animated decently, I think.
Yes.
I think for me, I would be more invested in it if there was just, I don't know, maybe I just don't like Sentai like I think I do.
Oh, it's just the anime portrayal of Sentai, in all honesty. When you actually watch actual Sentai, it has its own special tropes and whatnot. And also it depends on the Sentai you first watch, because you can either see the more egregious side of Sentai or the more positive side of Sentai. It's just you have to... Well, the best way I can explain it is through a perfect example. If there's something that you just enjoy and there's a Sentai of it, I would suggest watching that Sentai first and then just branch off into the rest of the series that's either completely subbed, but with some Showa era shows, it's all of them are not subbed quite yet. But let's actually play a game here, Jordan. What's some things that you enjoy in most media?
Well, anything really anything that deals with magic, sci-fi.
Okay.
Your sort of high fantasy, biopunk, monsters. I've watched a lot of body horror based centric animes with pretty decent results. and then giant robots.
Giant.
I know that's the subset of sci-fi, but honestly, if you put giant robots in pretty much anything except Knights and Magic, which I haven't watched and don't think I ever will, which is a magic mecha anime, but the first episode bored me to tears.
Well, if you want to get into Sentai, Maho Sentai Machi Ranger is actually a personal favorite of mine. It's what got me into Sentai.
Was that adapted into a Power Ranger series?
Yes, Mystic Force.
Okay, Mystic Force was solid.
And with Maho Sentai Machi Ranger, and I know the rest of y'all would be kind of uninterested in listening, but for the sake of Jordan here, essentially the premise of this show is a group of siblings find out that there's a magician. They're related to magicians through their heavenly saint father. And their father is missing, but their mother trained in the magical arts to essentially prepare her children for the invasion of the monsters of this series, the Infurgia. And so we have the eldest son, who is Magi Green. And the cool thing about this series, which much like what Mystic Force did, is that the mecha themselves are essentially our cast of are our rangers, but in mechanized form, using the power of magic to turn into their mecha and whatnot. And the characters have different motivations within this series, because you have various different personalities, and the fact that they're siblings, you have interesting sibling relationships. Where you have Magi Yellow, he's more focused into boxing, and he's more the standoffish brother, compared to his older brother and his little brother, Magi Green and Magi Red, respectively.
An interesting premise. I might check it out, might not.
Although I must warn you ahead of time, given that this is different from the source material, you see in Mystic Force you have Necroli. Her Sentai counterparts are two goth Lolita girls. Same suit and everything.
Okay.
Well,
that definitely lowers the likelihood of me watching it.
But they're dressed in gothic Lolita. That's what I'm pointing out.
Right. I mean, I get you.
Yeah, they're not actual Lolitas. They're just dressed like them. They're not lollies. I will tell you that much.
Okay. Good. I was about to say, well, you know, that is that's dead there, Tony. I'm not doing that.
They're not actual lollies. They are not actual lollies. I will tell you that much for sure. That is all I'm going to say about that from my memory. But other than that stuff, the show is good overall. And it actually uses and the magic that they use is actually used effectively. Even though I don't recall it, because their magic stems from the power of heavenly saints. So they're different. They draw from different elements, but they also have saints connected to them, if that makes any sense.
I mean, I imagine it makes some degree of sense. It just depends on the saint in question, I suppose.
Well, since their father is a heavenly saint, which technically makes all of them like half magic saint.
Yeah, I'm sure that it makes more sense in the context of the series.
Yes.
But flip side, Tony, let's go ahead and bring it on in.
Yeah, I think we pretty much had our soapbox discussion kind of interspersed throughout our various reviews. So we'll just end things off here. I hope you guys join us next week where we rag on our last two shows, even though Peter Grill, it's maybe not the best of shows. Well, not the best of from source materials because of how overtly smutty it can be. I can at least enjoy it. I can enjoy some parts of it. And Super H Eros, oh my god, it's gonna be a time. It's gonna be a time.
I just hope that it turns around. That's all I'm hoping for. I just hope it turns around.
It's gonna be a time. That's all I'm saying. But anyway, we'll catch you guys later.